All right, everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today, I wanted to have a specific video discussion here to talk about some ideas I had for how to fix the gen rushing issue. And so, I wanted to talk about it directly with you guys. So let's get into it. And as you can see with the little title here is how to fix gen rushing. So we're gonna try our best to do that. So I have a couple of ideas. I have a little bit of a list, and you guys can let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree with these ideas. Okay, so the idea is we're going with corrupt intervention being basekit. So what does that mean, right? So for any of you who've used corrupt intervention, it is a perk that will block the farthest gens from you at the start of the game that are close together. So usually what will happen is the survivors will spawn on top of those gens and they won't be able to complete them. So then what they'll do is they'll start to run toward the middle of the map or to run to the other gens, and you'll be there to be able to cut them off and begin a chase. Now, the reason that we want this to be partially basekit is so that we can prevent the early game gen rush, so that everybody across the board will be able to get into chases sooner, which would help out everybody, right? Which is also the most fun aspect of the game, in my opinion. You could also add on the fact that it can help prevent the early gen rush, which means we can overall slow the game down just a little bit more, easier. Obviously, make it a reduced amount of time. You could maybe take that perk and cut it in half. And then what you could do is have it so that it's partially basekit across the board. You can equip corrupt to increase the amount to where it's at now, but then you can change it so that it'll be decreased in time. Instead of it stacking, it'll just be the amount that it is currently in the base game. Have that be what the effect is, which I forgot how much it is. So you guys can let me know how much I think it was like 80 seconds or 120 or something like that. I forget. But basically, you could make it half the time or less than that, and then have the perk add on time. But it'll have the additional effect that if you get it down, it'll deactivate. So you can try to do it that way, So it still works similarly, but it won't be exactly the same. And it also will just be an overall nice little bonus for the killer side, and it will help with the early game gen rush, which is one of the biggest problems with the game currently. Okay, so I had another idea, which was, what if we have a new mechanic that is based around brand new hooks? So we're trying to both get something for the anti-tunneling, which is already what behavior wants to do, in a way. Not to remove it, but just to adjust the gameplay style. So the main reason that we tunnel in the first place, and we utilize strategies in order to be efficient. So I was thinking, what if we had a mechanic in place that was based around one hooks for everybody, giving you an additional bonus for your slowdown. So for example, you get 5% for each brand new hook on a survivor, adding up to about 20% slowdown or whatever have you. And then it will reset or maybe be removed for the next hook after the 4 brand new hooks. Now, the thing is that that would have to happen is there's going to have to be some heavy balancing, but this is just an example of trying to both incentivize a new playstyle while also trying to provide a bonus for it. So this might not be the perfect example of saying 5% and it stacks, but what if it was 5% that you can build up on? Let's say that it starts at 1% or 1.5%, and then it increases again for each brand new hook up to 5%, or something like that. Or you can make it 6% actually, so you can counter deja vu, for example. What if we had something like that, a brand new mechanic that can give you a reward for trying to play the way that behavior is wanting you to play as, right? I think that could be interesting. We could definitely try that. Another new mechanic I thought of was, what if we increase the damage gen limit, right? Because currently it's 8. So if I remember correctly, it's 8. So what if we increased it to 10 or 12, right? Maybe that could work. Right, that you can have something similar to that, and I have an idea for that. Those are two mechanics I was thinking of. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. But those two ideas I thought were pretty interesting. We could try either something based around hooks, where you get a base kit kind of bonus to help you out, and you can actually try to get brand new hooks while also getting a bonus for it that affects your slowdown, which is mainly what we want to do anyway. So that was the idea for that. Or what if we can also throw on like a damage gen limit, like I've said. That's an interesting one too. I don't know if that'll really help at all. Or you could do something with the perks, but I'll talk about that further. Okay, so I had another idea. I thought, what if, like, they already had nerfed a bunch of the killer perks. So I thought, what if we also can nerf the survivor perks? So what do we mean by that? Right? So an example is we can try reducing the effects of such like deja vu by adding a downside, like how old botany knowledge was before they needlessly buffed it for some magical reason. We can have it so that it, like, instead, like, as you have a 6% increase in repair speed, you can decrease it, like, the healing speed by 6%. You could also do something else, like, let's say, for example, proof thyself, right? Like, maybe you can make it so it doesn't stack. Maybe you can remove the gen progression perk stacking, so that it's like just one effect by itself and it doesn't stack. So you can kind of do how they did with the haste stacking, where they were trying to make it so that it wouldn't stack with itself and it only would take the highest value. You could do the same thing with the gen speed bonuses, right? So deja vu could say be the highest. If you have proof thyself, then deja vu deactivates, and then proof thyself is active. And then if you have a toolbox that has a higher amount, then that cancels out both deja vu and proof thyself, and then the toolbox has the fastest repair speed, and then that's just the repair speed by itself. I was thinking maybe you could do something like that, so that you can actually have like, you can reduce a lot of those like really fast gen speeds, so that it's a little bit more fun for the killer side, I would have to say, because obviously nobody wants to go against it. And I actually had made another video, which I can link that at the end of the video for this one, that had covered why the gen rushing happens. So one of the things that was mentioned was like looking at the little bar and feeling like you're helping your team, and looking at the yellow bar because it's fun and satisfying or whatever have you, and you're being useful to the team. So this still applies to that same logic, but it won't be as strong, because as you guys know, each second that you're on a gen is 1% of the gen. So if you're there for 20 seconds, that's 20%. Or if you're there for 10 seconds, that's 10%. So because of that, like, that's what's already adding on top of the fact that there is an insane amount of gen speed as it is just from base kit. So this can help level it out. So that was the idea for that. So I had another idea as well, which I don't want to make a new slide for this, but sort of the inverse. But I think I will make a new one, because why not? All right, so I thought of another idea. What if we were to basically buff the perks back to normal to try to address this? It's like probably the most ridiculous idea for it. But the thing is, I was thinking you either nerf the survivor progression perks too, so that they're both at the same level, where they're both not as good as they used to be. Because what they did was they had nerfed the killer perks, but they never had balanced out the survivor perks to also compensate for the lack of slowdown that you gain. So we can try to do that by maybe doing the, like, either we revert or we also nerf the other side too, so that that both sides are not incentivized to focus so hard on just gens, but they can also focus on more other things that are more interesting to play. That could be an idea as well. So for example, like, maybe pain res could be back to 25%. You could try to make pop back to like 30% instead of 20. You could try to maybe you could buff the other perks, like maybe surge could be 10%, or eruption could be like 12%, or other things like that maybe could help, because we did see Call of Brine did get a slight buff, which is interesting. The problem is obviously it's not much, because it's still not great. We still have the 8 kick limit. We still have the fact that you know, it only takes like 5 seconds to stop the gen from regressing, so it's not like you're really getting that much value. And the lower tier killers are really unable to get a lot of value from the new changes regardless. So it's like, yeah, like cool, I guess. Like the problem is that we have this sort of balancing where like the higher tier killers are always stronger than the lower tiers. So the biggest issue, I think, is the idea that we're not like, there's nothing for the lower tier killers to like pick up from. So that's what's causing a lot of issues as well in terms of killer selection, because we have a lot of people trying to pick A to S tiers because that's the only way you can really have any fun. And a lot of the time, especially when games can be like about 5 minutes. So the idea would be to find other ways to also boost up like the lower tiers, like Ghostface, like Skull Merchant, like Trapper, like other characters like that can really benefit from having more in their kit or more options to make it more interesting to play as them and make them more fun overall. And I've also covered ideas of how to buff Ghostface in the past and stuff like that. And then like a quick other point we could toss in is the idea that we could try to fix the spawn rates, because the spawn updates, I should say. And with the spawns, they supposedly are going to spawn together, but that isn't really working yet. Like there's a lot of times, especially if you run Lethal Pursuer, you can actually run this test yourself. Basically, they don't always spawn in a group together to prevent the gens from flying, and it wasn't actually a buff to the killers at all when it's basically no change has occurred. So that is sort of the idea. Those are my ideas of how we can try to fix this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. How would you fix the gen rushing issue? What would you want to add? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one.